Would I be the asshole if I told my younger sister's fiancé that she lied about my older sister when they met? So my older sister is Kay, female 32, my younger sister is Jay, female 28, and my younger sister's fiancé is Matt, male 32. Kay and Matt met at work about 2.5 to 3 years ago. He was hired in as a consultant at her company on a few months' assignment. They became close, but nothing happened because they probably didn't think that it was professional. I think both, or I know that my sister at least, was hoping that it would develop into something more when his assignment was completed. Kay is a very shy and private person, but even with that, she couldn't stop talking about Matt to Jay and me. When she turned 30, we encouraged her to invite him with the rest of her close friends from work. She was very hesitant and panicked at first, but then she thought, yeah, why not? His assignment was almost done anyway. Matt and Jess met at that party. 6 months later, Jess told us that she and Matt are a couple. This devastated Kay, and I knew that even if she held herself together and pretended to be happy for them. I almost made her confess her heartbreak to me because I just couldn't let her hurt alone without any support. Kay said that after her birthday, Matt changed towards her and was even a bit angry. Then when he left, he stopped talking to her altogether. Kay said that she probably misinterpreted his interest in her. I know that she's still heartbroken about it. Matt was assigned with her company some more times again, and it was awkward at first, but eventually they were friends again. Now he is a part of the family. Kay never showed that she is hurt. Now I found out that Jess told Matt that Kay had a boyfriend at that birthday party. Matt is very handsome and lovely, and Jess basically wanted him. Matt was shocked at first because he was hoping for something more, but he probably just thought that he too misinterpreted Kay's interest in him. He's very shy too. After the party, he probably decided to cut his losses and not pursue Kay. Jess, however, kept contacting him, asking him out, being supportive. First he refused, but then they started dating. How do I know all of that? Well, Jess's roommate spilled the beans to me, thinking that I knew everything. I'm closer to Jess than Kay. Matt has now proposed to Jess. I feel sick because I want to tell Matt what happened so he makes an informed decision. Marriage is not a game. At the same time, he and Jess seem to be perfect for each other, and the love is genuine. Maybe he was interested in Kay, yes, but obviously it wasn't that deep. Also, Kay? I want to tell her, but she seems okay with the relationship too. She made it clear that Matt and Jess obviously are meant to be, or it wouldn't have happened. But I want to tell her. Would I be the arsehole if I told everyone what happened? In the comments, wow, sister is something. She certainly didn't consider anyone else when she made her decision back then. I would probably say something so he can make an informed decision, but be prepared for the backlash. And OP replies, the thing is, Jess and Matt are great together. He and Kay are so much alike, yes, both shy and introverted and very calm. But Jess is a social butterfly, and he's even said that she has taken him out of his shell. So I don't know. My only thought is, I would have wanted to know, but if I tell, I am ready for the backlash. Jess is an asshole, and I would want to know too. But don't you think that this should be Kay's choice, since it's about her and Jess? You choosing to do this without consulting Kay, or at the very least confronting Jess and having her tell him, would make you the asshole. Sure, you think he should know. Letting Jess tell him gives him the best chance of working through it. OP says, I thought about that actually, but still, Kay and Matt are two separate issues. Even if Kay forgives Jess, I'm almost sure she would, Matt still needs to decide his life for himself, not Jess nor Kay. On if OP is doing this so Kay and Matt get together, OP says, there is zero chance that Matt and Kay would be together, and that's not the point either. I want my big sister's heart to heal and Matt to make an informed decision. I mean, now after this, there is zero chance that Matt and Kay end up together. Before the birthday? Definitely. I think they were crazy about each other. More info on what Matt was told. She knows that Kay is hurting and she never said why. I don't know either how she explained it once he probably realized that Kay didn't have a boyfriend. What else has Jess done to Kay / what else has she stolen? A boyfriend when we were younger. Jess was 15 at the time, so obviously the blame lied with a guy who was 20.
What? Hold up.
It was grooming, and nobody put the blame on Jess, but yeah, she got together with Kay's first boyfriend. Is Jess the golden child? OP says, not at all. Our parents love us all equally, and if anything, Kay is the firstborn and probably Mum's favourite. I don't know why Jess did this. She's always been a bit obsessed with Kay. How do you think Matt will react? OP says, they love each other very well, so maybe it'll just be a test of their love. If it doesn't survive, then I will know for sure that I did the right thing anyway, because he has the right to make informed decisions. You're just trying to cause drama and actively harm them. OP says, if the feelings are concrete, then nothing I will have to say would matter, so what are you worried about? Let Jess know first so she can tell them. OP says, I can try, but she would probably refuse or twist the truth. What good would this do anyway? OP says, what do you mean why? I already answered. I would want to know how the marriage I am headed towards has started. It seriously never came up that Kay had a crush on Matt? OP says, no, it has never come up. Besides me and Jess and probably some very close friends, nobody knows what's in Kay's heart, and we only know because we know her very well, and we can tell, and not because she tells us. After Matt disappeared from her life, she made sure never to talk about him again. When he came back as Jess's boyfriend, she just acted happy for them. I don't think they were talking about being together either, but they both just hoped something would happen. I think when Matt found out that Kay had a boyfriend, he probably thought that he imagined things that weren't there about her being interested. Same for Kay. She probably thought that she imagined him liking her and was mistaken. Jess is very protective of Matt too. She had a very hard time accepting him working with Kay again, and she tried everything to make him find new jobs. Now I know why. We all just thought that she wanted him to advance his career because she is very ambitious. But he always said he loved his job. Then when it was a fact that he and Kay were friends again, she made sure that she was always close by. Kay is very private and professional. I doubt she discusses her dating life with Matt, even if they're close at work. Oh my god. So, yeah, I think we can take on face value that there is a little bit of he say, she say going on, but I believe OP that they know what Kay is thinking, and, it seems likely to me that they were in love. That Kay did in fact love this man, and Jess just had to come in there with her dirty little mitts and ruin everything. The petty part of me wants to see OP come in there and tear apart Jess for doing that, because that's some comeuppance for her 15-year-old self, taking that 20-year-old boyfriend of Kay away back in their heyday. And to that I say nay. Do not allow this shit to go on any further. OP, punish Jess. I believe in you. You would not be the asshole if you told your younger sister's fiancé that she lied about your older sister when they met. I want to see some justice. And now, onto the update. So yesterday, I did it. I know many here advised me to keep out of it, but I chose to go with my guts. Honestly, I've been very angry with Jess, and basically, I thought that it was time that she learned the consequences of her actions. If her and Matt's relationship is strong and real, then nothing would come between them. If it isn't, then I did the right thing. Most importantly, I did right by Kay. I used the opportunity that I introduced my girlfriend to my family yesterday. Mum teased Kay about being the only one left. I said loudly that I can't believe it had been 4 years since Kay had a boyfriend. Since her ex went home and the pandemic hit, so he couldn't fly back, so he announced his engagement to another woman on Facebook, and that's how Kay knew that it was over between them. Jess was very nervous and wanted to change the subject, but Matt was shocked over how someone would do this to their girlfriend. I don't think he really did the math at first, and he didn't react. I was annoyed, to be honest. So I insisted, yeah, when she introduced you at her 30th party, I really thought she had a crush on you because she never shut up about you, but a few months later, you and Jess got together. I said that it was confusing, and surely not only for me, but the rest of the family. But then again, Jess had done this before and stole Kay's first boyfriend. This was followed by the loudest silence. I knew that I went too far this time, but I couldn't control my anger towards Jess, and I wasn't going to sit there and hope that Matt would connect the dots himself. Everyone was very silent, and Jess was shooting daggers at me. Matt didn't say anything, and Kay was angry too, and said that it was a long time ago. Matt and Jess left shortly afterwards, and Kay asked me why I would embarrass her. I told her that Jess had lied to Matt about her having a boyfriend at her birthday party 2 years ago, and that is why Matt ghosted her, because he thought that she, Kay, was playing him. Kay was shocked, so she didn't know as I expected. Mum was shocked too. This morning, Kay called. She wanted to know more. She told me that she was very heartbroken for the longest time and confused as to why Matt ghosted her, but now she knows at least, even though she had hoped that he liked her a bit more to talk to her before ghosting her. I said that I believe she deserved better than him, and she laughed and agreed. Now I know that I have made the right decision, at least by my sister, which is the most important thing to me right now. I haven't heard from Matt or Jess, so I don't know if they'll stay together or not. All I know was that they were supposed to be on a weekend mini-trip to see a venue on the coast, and this trip was cancelled because Jess usually shares in her stories, and they haven't left town this weekend. I feel saddened, of course, but I'm not sure if I feel guilty. Maybe it'll hit me later, but I don't know. In the comments, Matt's not the sharpest tool in the shed when it comes to relationships. You had to burst out the crayons to get your point across. Now he has to take some time to process what happened. Then he probably has to take time to consider how else she has manipulated him, all while she is probably trying to manipulate the situation. It used to be easy for her, but maybe the blinders are off now. All best done before marriage. And OP says, I don't think he thought about it or even remembered that Kay was supposed to have had a boyfriend when he met Jess. He seems smart otherwise. If you're going to blow up the situation, you shouldn't have beaten around the bush. Jess lied to you about Kay having a boyfriend because she had the hots for you, but she knew that you and Kay had the hots for each other. OP says, he probably knows now anyway without me confessing that I knew the truth. He probably figured it out by now. Honestly, after my talk to Kay, I think I accomplished my goal. It was to let Kay know and understand that she is not less than. I think you did the right thing. I'm so glad that you have Kay's back, and I hope Kay has yours as well. Wishing you both the best going forward. OP says, yeah, she has my back since she promised not to reveal that I did all of that on purpose, so long as it's just an innocent comment. Any updates? OP says, yes, Matt broke up with Jess and Jess is angry with me, but she just thinks that it was an innocent comment. Matt, however, wrote Kay a text explaining everything, so now everyone knows that way. Kay and Mum knew already, but they acted like they only heard it from Matt. Still, Jess is angry with me and has unfollowed me everywhere, saying that I ruined her happiness. I texted her that if her relationship was real, it would have survived an innocuous comment like the one that I made. Kay called me and she said that Matt has apologized and explained everything to her. She has forgiven him, although she said there was nothing to forgive really since she truly believes that things weren't meant to be. They are staying friends, however, and they are very close friends. Jess called Kay a biatch and blocked her everywhere and wrote a nasty comment about her on Instagram that she was a man-stealer and then unfollowed her. My mum is very distraught now, but I think she'll survive. I will survive too, and I still have no feelings of guilt about what I did. I'm starting to think that I really did do the right thing, and I'm proud of myself for it. As Kay said, things that are meant to be happen. Beginning Path says, you should be rightfully proud of yourself. Not Jay projecting with her man-stealer comment directed at Kay. Kay seems very wise. The projection is strong with this one. But if she blocks Kay, how will she find her next boyfriend? Gosh, I believe that thought crossed her mind, but now there is no way that it will work out that easy and innocent as before. That's why she went nuclear. If I won't even be able to steal a guy from her again, at least I'll stick with saying that she's the man-stealer after all. I wish I could have been a fly on the wall when OP dropped that bomb. Can you imagine? You're OP's new girlfriend, meeting their family for the first time, wanting to make a good impression and for them to like you, and then OP does that. She was the fly on the wall. I completely forgot that OP brought their girlfriend to introduce. I'm too into the drama. This would have been doomed no matter what. I don't think Jess would have been the type to be happy that she got the consolation prize. That would eat away at her soul. And I would bet the moment that Kay got into a new relationship, Jess would try to steal that man too. I can't help thinking Jess might not have had an exit planned on this, or certainly she didn't think through the long-term consequences of this. The first time she was 15 and he was 20, presumably as soon as the right people found out about it, the relationship was externally ended. This time involved 2 consenting adults, and Jess was just keeping going all the way to the altar. But would she have kept going? Would boredom have set in? Would Kay have gotten something else shiny that Jess had to take? Also, clearly too many people were in the loop as well, or OP wouldn't have found out. Thinking on it, the advantage of OP not keeping the revelation quiet is that Jess doesn't get the opportunity to just learn from her mistakes and do a better job of screwing Kay over next time. Yeah, it does seem like it was a bit damned if they do, damned if they don't, but I'm very much glad that Jess had her relationship destroyed, because that's what she deserved and worse for doing this, and for continuing to do it and not learning her lesson, and then projecting. Screw you, Jess. Get in the basket of assholes right now, buddy. You and the goddamn couch are in the naughty corner. And yeah, I don't think that there was a future of Kay and this man getting together. At least I hope they don't, because it doesn't seem like this is something that you can come back from, but I do think that you can be good friends and stay in contact with each other and be amicable. I feel like there would be a lot more drama happening, especially with Jess, if Kay was to get with this man. I don't think that would end well. I think there might be a double homicide by Jess, where she's like, how dare you steal my consolation prize? All's well that ends well though. I was very much satisfied with this story. That was a banger. Am I the asshole for refusing to have my dad in my life after he chose his new family? When I was 13, my dad had an affair and left my mum and moved in with his affair partner, who I will call Janet. At first, me and my sister would visit every weekend, and I'll admit that he was a good dad, although I never liked Janet. When Janet got pregnant and had their sons, our visits became less frequent, and my dad was more concerned with his new family. He would miss some of my recitals or my sister's competitions because he was busy with his son. When I was 16, Janet decided that she wanted to move for a new job opportunity. My sister and I begged him not to leave us, but he just said that I need to prioritize my family. He moved 10 hours away. That pretty much ended our relationship, and I decided to go no contact as it was clear that he did not consider me family. My younger sister stayed in contact with him. He would try and call me and offer for me to come and visit with my sister, but I refused. When he came back to see my sister, I would refuse to speak to him when he turned up at the house. I didn't invite him to my high school or college graduation. I'm now 33 and have remained no contact with him. He has, over the years, repeatedly tried contacting me and getting his family to contact me on his behalf to reconcile. I have avoided family events in case he attended, including my sister's wedding and baby showers. My dad and his family moved back to our hometown 3 months ago, and he has been relentless trying to reconcile. I've received messages from my half-brother and sister wanting a relationship, saying that he is a great dad. My dad found out I'm getting married and keeps trying to contact me, and has even tried to speak to my fiancé. Janet messaged me saying that I have broken my dad's heart repeatedly, and saying that I'm pathetic and should get therapy. I replied back that she was nothing but a home-wrecking whore, and then blocked her. Everyone seems to be wanting me to let him back in my life. I'm sick of all the harassment and accidentally bumping into my dad and his family in the town. Whenever I see him, I just walk away and refuse to speak to them. Everyone is saying that he's a good dad and he tried his best to remain in contact, but that I pushed him away. Everyone is pressuring me, including my mum, my sister, grandparents, aunts and uncles, and even some of my friends. My fiancé has even started saying that I'm the asshole for shutting him out. It's all starting to get to me, so am I the asshole? In the comments, Zesty Clothes Sky 1921 says, not the asshole, but this is going to be brutal if your fiancé doesn't get on board with your pirate ship. Depending on the size of your hometown and how serious he is about pushing this, you may need to consider moving, especially if everyone around you is involved. You're allowed to have whatever kind of relationship you want with your father. Did your fiancé have to deal with being abandoned by your dad? Nope. Your sister was younger than you and may not have felt the loss like you did. You have the right to feel angry and hurt. Block Janet. This is the woman who pressured your father to leave your town. She had an affair with him that broke up your family. Your father did those things too. Neither one of them has any right to tell you how to react or feel. Deadbeat parents love to get back in their kids' lives when the kids are adults and no longer need to be parented and things are easy. You should feel totally free to do what is right for you. Tell everyone else that you no longer want to hear about this. They don't get to dictate how you feel. Whenever anyone brings it up, leave the room or put down the phone. Do not tolerate it, and people will learn to shut it. Korotic says, not the asshole. I'd send them all a clear message that you do not consider him family after he quite literally told you, when you were 16, that you were not family. Are they currently aware of this? And also make it clear that you will start cutting them out of your life if they do not stop harassing you about this. Perhaps just throw them all in a group chat for this so that you can send it once to everybody. Your fiancé siding with them, instead of respecting your pretty clear boundary, is worrying, and would make me reconsider the marriage if he doesn't cut it out fast, as that is a massive red flag that does not bode well for your future with him. Well said. Red flags ahoy. Great dad? Not to me. He said I'm not family. He can go die in a fire. I hope he doesn't crash your wedding with his whores and their sex trophies. Oh my god. Honestly, OP, I'm on your side with this one. I don't think you're the asshole for refusing to have your dad in your life after he chose his new family over you. I think that goes without saying, but I want to know why everyone else in the town suddenly is taking his side on this one. To me, the obvious thing is that no one wants to rock the boats, everyone wants to welcome him back in and be like, whoa, you totally didn't abandon your kids. It's much easier for me to just accept you and move on with my life rather than challenging this. I want to know what's going on in their twisted little minds because honestly, you know, your sister should understand what you're going through. I don't know why your sister is on his side and is attacking you. Why is your fiancé on his side and attacking you and saying that you need to get over this? It doesn't make any sense to me, and it makes me question their morals and their empathy. And now, onto the update. Thank you all for the comments. Although most seem to be not the asshole, some were you're the asshole. Some gave helpful suggestions which I'm planning to take on board. I have just spoken to my fiancé, and unfortunately, it has not gone well. But at this point in time, I've had enough, and I want to run away and never come back. My fiancé knows my history with my dad and Janet. I explained to him that him siding with my father and pressuring me was hurting me, and as my fiancé, he should be supporting me. My fiancé, who I'll call Larry, told me he can't support me in doing something that he knows is wrong. Larry told me that he had spoken to my father and had an understanding of both sides of the story, and believes that if we both sit down and talk, that we can sort this out and reconcile. I told Larry that I don't want this, and I want no contact, and asked why he's even speaking to my father. Larry admitted his father, who was friends with my dad, encouraged Larry to speak to him and to hear him out. Larry told me that my dad loved me very much and always wanted to be in my life and has pictures of me. I'm guessing he got these from my family, as my social media is set to private. Larry said my dad is heartbroken at the state of our relationship because I was being unreasonable about him moving away when I was young. Larry stated that I got off on the wrong foot with Janet and that I was not innocent in the breakdown of the relationship. He told me that everyone can see the truth but me and to look in the mirror because I'm the problem. Needless to say, I broke down crying and asked him why he was doing this to me and not supporting me. Larry claims to love me but won't stand by me and watch me be a heartless bitch. After he said this, I stood up and told him that he shouldn't marry a heartless bitch, and then walked out. I'm currently sat in my car. My phone is blowing up with Larry trying to contact me, but I don't want to speak to him. I feel like I'm losing everything and everyone. I don't understand what is happening. In the comments, Lady Mystery says, it's going to be awful for a while, but don't let them wear you down, because if you do, it'll just get worse. And at least you found out before you married Larry that he is like this. I wish you the best going forward. Fantastic points. I hope that OP reads this and finds comfort in what you wrote. Jay had an affair with a married man. He then departed from his family in favor of her. It was when you were a kid, and Elle says that you stepped on the incorrect toe? Yes, it's not a joke. Exactly. Like any of this is her fault. She was a child. Either way, it's her choice, and the dad cares so little that he allows his affair partner turned wife to insult her in text and screws with her relationship, all while claiming that he is a great dad. I just want to say how ridiculous it is that your father blames you for the breakdown of the relationship with Jay. It is all his fault and Jay's fault that there was friction. She was his mistress, and she worked with your father to demolish your family. Anyone with a brain could see a 13-year-old holding resentment and not behaving with understanding and kindness in that situation. Furthermore, your father conveniently put you and your sister on a back burner in order to please Jay. He is a piss-poor father. Maybe he's better with his son, and he seems better with your sister, but your sister probably does the bulk of that heavy lifting. If he weren't such a selfish asshole, he would have left you alone and stopped pestering everyone connected to you to force a relationship. I'm sorry that your fiancé is not supporting you the way that you need to be supported. I'm just so confused. What part of your dad's story makes you seem like a heartless person? It's really not worth investigating it any further, since clearly all these people are only hearing what they want to hear. But I'm so curious about what changed the fiancé's mind so quickly. OP says, apparently the fact I won't give my dad or my half-siblings the time of day. That's it? He didn't counter your dad with the fact that you weren't being supported by him during an important part of your life? It almost seems like your fiancé had no intention to side with you at all, but I can't say for sure. I'm so sorry this is happening to you, and it's probably really hard to stay strong right now. Just know that you're doing yourself a huge favor by putting your foot down even though it hurts. You've got this, girl. You are already so successful. The fiancé is a man, the dad is a man. So many men always take the side of the man in a dispute. It's part of the misogyny baked into our society. I bet their fathers being friends didn't help either. Yeah, I don't like where the fiancé is going with this one in this situation. It does feel like a little bit of misogyny is being baked into there, and there is a lot of lies being spun by the friend of OP's father here. I'm not going to say that this is going to cause a divorce or anything. I feel like that is a huge stretch, but I feel like you got to sit down with your partner in situations like this and be like, hey, you're sipping the Kool-Aid a bit too hard, buddy. Let's get you back to reality, and let's refresh you on what happened here, because you're not seeing the full picture. You're kind of just accepting whatever everyone else is telling you about and not thinking about what I went through personally. There just seems to be some insane victim blaming going on here, and I still side with OP in this situation. What the hell is wrong with everyone else attacking you? Is there something that I'm not seeing? And now, onto the second update. Hi everyone, thanks for the comments and letting me sound off on you, as I desperately need an outside perspective. I know a lot of you telling me to cut all contact with my family and leave town. That is not an option for me financially, and I would not be able to set up business elsewhere. All my money is invested in it, and I've only managed to get established recently with steady income. Relocating is not an option for me. I love my friends and family, and I don't want to cut everyone off. I love my hometown. I grew up here. This is my life, and I'm not willing to walk away from it. I didn't expect to write another update this fast, but a lot has happened today. So firstly, I agreed to meet my dad to talk and try to get him to back off and leave me alone. I asked my mum to arrange it. Just him, no one else. I wasn't sure if he would agree to that, but within 15 minutes of her calling, he was at the door. I asked my mum to stay and mediate. To summarize the conversation, these are a bit messed up because it's a lot to remember. Me. I asked him to give me space and stop trying to get everyone on his side and to let me live my life. I told him he stopped being my father when he moved 10 hours away. I told him Janet was mean to me and told him about all the horrible things she had said to me over the years. I hate how he chose Janet and his new family over me, and how he told me that he had to prioritize them, and how he basically told me that I wasn't family. He was an asshole for withholding my college fund and trying to blackmail me, and then spending it on his new family. I hate how I have missed major family events because he attended the events and would make them awkward. I don't see his son and daughter as my family, and I'm sick of them trying to speak to me and approach me. He keeps making scenes every time he sees me and making me look like the bad guy. He keeps inserting himself into my life, going to my fiancé's family events, going behind my back to talk and sway Larry to his side. I hate how he cheated on my mum and broke our family up, and then listened to Janet, who stopped our dates, missed my recitals, reduced contact, and was more concerned about his son. His side. He says he loves me and always has, and is never going to give up trying to reconnect, and he has given me enough space over the years, and he is done hearing about my life from second-hand knowledge and is not willing to miss any more of it. He loves Janet and can't regret his past because he wouldn't have her or his 2 kids. He wishes that he had done it differently and ended his marriage with my mum first. His kids are innocent, and I shouldn't be taking it out on them. They just want to know their big sister. I was a difficult child who was rude and disrespectful to Janet, breaking her belongings, calling her names, and ruining days out. When Janet got pregnant, she was high risk, and me coming every week and starting arguments was stressing her out, so for her and his son's sake, he stopped the weekend visitation. He still spoke to us on the phone and took us out for dinner and days out, but just didn't let us sleep over. When his son was born, he was premature and had health complications, which meant him staying in hospital for weeks and frequent hospital admissions. Janet was also going through PPD, so he wasn't able to see us as much and had to miss some events when he was taking care of Janet and his son. Janet was unable to get a job locally, and the opportunity was too good to pass up, so they had to move. He pointed out that he came back to town for weekends as much as he could to come see us, and would always invite us to fly out and spend vacations with him. He phoned every day, but I refused to speak or see him. They had flown in for my graduation, but I refused to invite him, and he lost his temper and refused to give me my college fund. He apologized for this and tried to fix this a few weeks later and give me the money, but I refused it. He has not spent the money. He still has it, and I only have to ask and I can have it. He had visited me at my college to try and talk to me, but I refused to see him. He is not going to miss family events. He makes a scene because he misses me and just wants to talk to me and reconcile, but I always end up running away or shouting insults at him and Janet. He has been trying for 16 years to reconnect, but I shut him down at every turn. He just wants to be my dad. He is old friends with my fiancé's dad, and he hoped that my fiancé could talk some sense into me and open a line of communication. He feels that I never gave Janet a chance, no matter how she tried in the beginning, and hoped that we could be civil. Janet hates knowing that I talk bad about her, am mean to her children, and won't speak to him. This is what he wants. My dad is in therapy and wants me to join him for family sessions. He wants me to spend time with him one-on-one, to stop being rude and mean to his children and spend time with them. Stop trash-talking Janet to everyone and actually give her a chance. Invite him and my family to my wedding and walk me down the aisle. This is what I want. For him to stop talking to my friends and getting others to try and talk to me on his behalf. Keep Janet away from me completely. To be civil at events or in town, providing that he does not try and hug me or talk to me. My mum told him that he was being unrealistic with some of the things that he wants, especially regarding Janet and his other children, so we have agreed for now. I will attend 3 therapy sessions with him when he arranges it. My mum thinks that I need individual therapy as well. He will stop trying to interfere in my life and relationships. He will keep Janet away from me and talk to his kids to give me space. I will be civil to him in public as long as he respects my personal space and does not approach or pressure me. As for my fiancé, I still haven't spoke to him. He turned up at my mum's, but she refused to let him in. He keeps blowing up my phone, and so does my family and friends, telling me to hear him out. During my conversation with my dad, I found out that my dad has paid for most of the vendors and services for my upcoming wedding, and they've been on speaking terms for quite some time, longer than I thought. Larry told me that his family had paid for these, and I believed him. I feel betrayed by him, and that I can't trust him. I'm going to have to speak to him eventually, but I don't feel ready. In the comments, Stoat King says, quote, I feel betrayed by him and that I can't trust him. I would argue that you have been betrayed by him. If he's going to side against you over something that is only his business through you, then who else would he favor over you? Janet? Mutual friends? Randos that he meets at the bus stop? I suppose your dad paying for stuff for your coming wedding is neither here nor there, since I have very serious doubts that it will happen. I'm concerned that your dad isn't seeing your side of this at all. I don't see how you could possibly have been more clear. I wonder if he's even capable of seeing your side. OP, from your list, it doesn't seem like your dad addressed the family comment he made when he first moved. Did he explain that? I absolutely would shut down if a parent told me that his new wife and kids were his real family. How could a kid not grow resentful after that? OP says, no, he didn't address it at all. I brought it up a few times, and he just kept sidestepping it. Whenever in social gatherings, he will try to coax you. You should just politely ask him about that. Yeah, your fiancé is really messed up on this one. I don't think you should take him back. He decided for you how your life should go and who should be in it. That is not the actions of a good partner. He will steamroll you over and over again. The betrayal is mind-boggling. For a second there, I was slightly convinced to see where the dad was coming from with this one, but yeah, when you bring it back to the point that he said that OP was no longer family to him, really makes you wonder what the hell is going on in his head, especially that he won't address it directly and man up and own the fact that he did that and make amends. He kind of wants to make amends without having to, say that he did these things, to say that he betrayed you and destroyed you as a young child. I absolutely wouldn't live that one down if I were you, OP. I would be holding that energy and throwing it right back in his face, because how dare he get everyone, including your fiancé, to start attacking you and get you to stop rocking the boat. I think that's genuinely disgusting behavior from them, and I think it's going to take a bit more than therapy and a few chats to deal with a situation like this. I genuinely want to know why your fiancé thought that it was okay to lie to you about this. That's insane that he would do something like that. And now on to the final updates. Firstly, I'd like to apologize for taking down my posts. I was really upset and felt under a lot of pressure and needed space to think without constant messages. Some of you were trying to be helpful, and I appreciate that, but some of the abusive messages I received were terrible. I'm updating for those who asked for an update and were supportive to me. This will be my last post, and I won't be posting again. Firstly, the deal with my dad is off the table. He couldn't even manage a week without overstepping my boundaries, so there will be no therapy sessions with him, and I will remain no contact. As you are all aware, after speaking to my dad and agreeing a way forward and my conditions, keep Janet away from me, tell his kids to back off, don't pressure me or invade my space. It lasted all of 3 days. Everyone seemed happy that I had forgiven my dad and told me so. My sister was excited that I was willing to give him a chance, and with some pressure, I agreed to have dinner with just her and my dad. When my sister and I arrived at the restaurant to meet our dad, he was not alone. He had invited Janet, my grandparents, his son, and daughter. He got up and tried to hug me. I immediately became upset, asking why they were there. My dad told me that if we had any hope of repairing our relationship, I had to accept Janet and my younger siblings. I told him he just broke our deal and to never contact me again, and tried to leave. He refused to let me leave and grabbed a hold of me. When I say all hell broke loose, I mean it. I started shouting at them. My dad, Janet, and grandparents tried to gaslight me and convince me to sit down. And when that didn't work, things got very heated, and a shouting match started, and a lot of unforgivable things were said by my dad and Jay, including remarks about my appearance and calling me a psychopath. My half-brother walked out of the restaurant and my half-sister started to cry. My sister actually surprised me and defended me, shouting at my dad for ruining things after all this time when I had finally given him a chance. She even slapped Janet. She got me out of there and apologized to me. I think this was the first time she had really seen how Janet was with me and how she treats me. She kept saying that she couldn't understand how Dad had spent years saying that he would do anything to have me back and then would do this when he finally got his chance to rebuild the relationship. My dad has been trying to contact me, but I've blocked him and I refuse to talk to him. I've also refused to speak to my grandparents. My dad has tried to convince my mum and sister to speak to me, but I think he's burned his bridges with them. This incident from the restaurant has spread and some people seem to be backing off. Like I said, what my dad and Jay shouted at me was unforgivable, and they were overheard. And this is a small town. Hopefully people will back off, and those who won't, I'm going to have to cut them out. My sister is very unhappy with my dad and Jay, and is not speaking to them. She is blaming them for me going no contact again. My sister is not letting them see her kids. I don't know if my sister will reconcile, but right now she is furious. My mum is also furious, and apparently had a few choice words with my dad and Janet, and has promised she will never pressure me to speak to him again. I'm going to go to individual therapy. I think I definitely need it. I do feel bad about my half-siblings, as they haven't done anything wrong, and am maybe open to having a distanced kind of relationship with them in the future, but I'm not ready yet, or I'm unsure if I ever will be. I did send them a message on Facebook to apologize and tell them that they have done nothing wrong. Lastly, to update you all, in regards to my fiancé, well, I spoke to him yesterday about everything that I'd been radio silent about since walking out on him. Basically, he was pressured by his father to speak to my dad and was fed a sob story of a misunderstood father desperately wanting to be in his daughter's life. Elle had become annoyed with me refusing to attend his family events and walking out of his mother's birthday party when I realized my dad and Janet were there, as he was getting pressure from his family about me ruining their events. He just wanted everyone to be happy and get along, clearly at my expense. Elle admitted my dad had paid for some of the vendors for the wedding, but he did not know this until after it was already paid. His father told Elle that him and his mum had paid. My dad had told Elle that it was a gift and his way of contributing. Elle admitted my dad had asked him to speak to me on his behalf. I told Elle that he had betrayed my trust and I couldn't see myself marrying someone who does not support me. He broke down crying and apologizing to me and promising to never do it again. Elle was heartbroken and begged for a second chance. To those of you who wanted me to break up with him, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but we're going to try and work through this. Apart from this issue, he had been the best partner, and I had genuinely think that he had been manipulated by his family and my dad. Elle has promised to stand up to his family and go no contact with my dad. I'm still living at my mum's, as I still need some space, which I won't have if I move home. We are going to contact our wedding vendors and see what our options are next week. Elle is begging for a postponement rather than cancel it altogether. We may still break up as actions speak louder than words, and I need to see if he can rebuild what we had and show me that I can trust and depend on him. In the comments, Canny1Moon says, I very much hope that Elle grows a backbone and cuts his family off if they're going to manipulate him and lie to him like this, and that from now on, he will choose you and only you. Good luck, and I'm so sorry for everything your family and people around you have put you through. Frankly, if Elle doesn't cut them off now, I can see a divorce as soon as they have kids old enough to talk. Mama, I love playdates with my grandparents all together. What? When Daddy leaves us with his parents and they invite your parents, and we all get ice cream with my aunt and uncle that I'm not allowed to talk about. It's my favorite secret. OP, I am so glad that you updated us. You have been in my thoughts, and I was worried that you had been pressured to take down your posts by some of the very selfish players in this traumatic story. I'm horrified that you were getting abuse. It disgusts me that you're dealing with all of this. I cannot believe that your dad and Jay behaved so despicably. I have no words. All this manipulation, years and years and years of it, and for what? To blow it and blow it up in such a public and hideous way? It shows OP that you were 100% right all along. Thank God others have seen it with their own eyes. So thankful that your sister was there. You were no longer cast as the stubborn one-woman island off Antarctica who refused peace. I'm sure that night was traumatic for you, but it's all an ill wind. Your dad had a narcissist's agenda, and Jay is simply a piece of crap. The truth will out, and it has. I can't believe your half-siblings were impressed with their parents' behavior. It must have been traumatizing for them too. It's a measure of the high-quality human that you are and that you reached out to them. Kudos to you. As for Elle, well, like many, the impression is underwhelming. At best, he's weak, and at worst, he's controlling. Tears are meaningless after the event, but OP, this is your life, and everyone in this unholy drama has been telling you how to live, and it has to stop. Your choices are yours, and I wish you nothing but peace, health, and happiness going forward. You deserve the world after this. Take your time. If you decide to postpone rather than cancel, give yourself some substantial time to observe Elle's behavior. It's all in the doing, not the saying, as we know. Good luck, OP, with your business too. Living well remains the best revenge. You have a lot of life ahead. Live it in your own truth. I think that you are remarkable. And OP replies, I'm shocked too, and a part of me is disappointed that he had let me down again. After 16 years of no contact, he finally backs me into a corner where I'm forced to give in and give him a chance, just for him to mess it up in the space of 3 days. The only thing I can think of is that Janet got in his head, as it doesn't make much sense for me. The only reason it blew up so much at the restaurant was because he grabbed me and wouldn't let me go. Normally, I just walk off. Quotes, my dad has been trying to contact me, but I have blocked him. Have you considered changing your number? Quotes, Elle has promised to stand up to his family and go no contact with my dad. I'm not so sure I understand how you were so strong with your dad and Janet and not with Elle. His family will not stop. That's clear. So your kids can never be left alone with them because that's when your dad will have playdates with them. There will always be the risk of ambush. Is Elle willing to give up his family? Because what they did is really disturbingly manipulative and deceitful. OP replies, there is no point changing my number when I've done this before. He always manages to get it again. As for Elle, breaking up is not off the table. I'm giving him a chance to show me he means what he says. I always thought that I had a decent relationship with Elle's family, but clearly not. I'm not asking him to go no contact with him. That's for him to decide. I'm certainly going to distance myself from them, and any further incidents, no contact. As for any future children, if we're still together, I won't be trusting them with my children at all. This isn't over. We all know that it isn't. Larry has demonstrated that he will put her in second place given the opportunity, and that's patently unacceptable in a marriage. I don't care what reason my wife has, and whether or not I agree with it. If she tells me it will hurt her if I do X, I do not do X. Period. Whatever X is cannot possibly be worth hurting the woman that I love. I gave my ex a second chance after similar pressure to reconnect with someone who did far worse than what OP has said her father and Janet did. I really shouldn't have, because that ex wound up being another abuser who took years to escape. Larry is red flag city. Am I the asshole for threatening my wife with divorce after she quit her job to be a trad wife? I don't even know where to begin with this. Me, 34 male, and my wife, 33 female, have 2 kids together, 11 male and 9 female. My wife and I have been together for 12 years and have been married for 8. Around a year ago, I noticed my wife increasingly sending me these trad wife or traditional housewife TikToks. I have nothing against that type of relationship, but I don't think it makes sense for our current family situation. I do earn quite a bit more than my wife and enough to sustain our family on my own, but I don't see the need to do so. I work 80% and my wife 50%, and besides Wednesdays where the both of us are working, either one of us is always home for the kids. I could work 100% and let my wife be a stay-at-home mum, but again, both of my kids are attending school, and in my mind, there is no need for my wife to be at home 24/7. She got increasingly pushy about it over the past 2 months, and again I just kept on telling her that there wasn't any need for that, and if we did decide to go down that route, what would she do during the hours that my kids attended school? I know damn well that our house doesn't need to be cleaned for 6 hours a day. She would constantly try to butter me up with, "You would have dinner ready every day when coming home from work," and something about unlimited blowjobs or some BS like that. Again, in the nicest way possible, I would remind her that our kids weren't toddlers, and our current work-life schedule allowed us to function perfectly fine. We got into a pretty heated argument 2 weeks ago about it, and my wife completely stopped having sex with me to show me what I would be missing out on. She basically has been treating me like a roommate ever since. I just thought that she would get over it and that this was just a phase, but God was I wrong. I came home from work yesterday and saw a bunch of presents on the dining table. At first I thought they were all for me since my birthday was in a week, but I then saw the labels on them addressed to my wife. I read one of the letters attached to one of the presents. The last sentence on it was literally, "It was such a pleasure working alongside you, and I wish you all the best moving forward." I thought this was some sick prank. A few minutes later, my wife just casually strolled into the living room acting like nothing was wrong. I guess she saw my mad expression and had the audacity to tell me that, "You'll get over it." I just lost it. I just left without saying another word and then went to my parents' house. I feel absolutely disrespected. Why the hell would my wife think that it was okay to just quit her job without telling me and just expect me to be fine with it? My wife has been bombarding me with texts and calls, demanding to know where I am and that the kids miss me. I just told her to go find a lawyer and that I was done with her and then proceeded to block her. My son just sent me a voicemail crying and asking why I was divorcing mum and if I was leaving the family. And I guess that kind of broke my heart. I haven't responded and honestly don't know what to say to him. My mother-in-law has also been demanding that I return home and apologize to my wife. My parents also seem to be siding with my wife since they are traditional Muslims. My mum also used to be a stay-at-home mother. I feel like I'm wrong for immediately jumping to divorce without hearing her out. And besides this whole job drama, I love my wife too much for this to be the end of our otherwise perfect marriage. But on the other hand, I feel like I've completely lost trust in her. Should I just swallow my pride and let my wife stay at home from now on? Or should I follow through on divorcing her? How should I navigate this situation? Am I the asshole here? About their religion, OP says, "Thank you, but we aren't strict Muslims. Yes, we pray, etc., but we don't follow any of the traditional gender role ideologies. My wife tends to be a bit more on the conservative and traditional side, where I'm a bit more liberal. And I mean, doesn't the same apply for Christianity?" Someone says go back home. OP says, "I've told my son that I'll be home by tomorrow. I'll just be gone for 2 days." Someone else says, "There had to have been red flags earlier than this." And OP replies, "I mean, before this, the only red flag I saw was her constantly just ignoring me if we had a disagreement. But usually that was for maybe max 2 days. This was the first time she did that for a longer period of time." The crux of the issue. OP says, "The fact that she would be home relaxing isn't the issue. It's the fact that we now have to significantly cut down on our current expenses, and I'm not even sure if my company is willing to let me work 100%. Another commenter says, "This tradwife shit is cult-level batshit crazy. The women who are indebted to tradwife culture out of some desire to be more valued and have fewer outside-of-the-home responsibilities, and the men who encourage women to be or become tradwives out of some weird chauvinist nostalgia for the family dynamics of the 40s to 60s, and an insecure need to fully control their wife and household, are codependent wrecks and borderline sociopaths, respectively. I feel so bad that you've been hit so hard by this. I imagine that it'd be like figuring out one of your parents went down the QAnon rabbit hole, or worse. You should split up with her, absolutely. Beyond a certain point, there is no reasoning with these people." OP replies, "Thank you, but I don't think that this post should spread hate to those who currently are or were tradwives. It's a completely acceptable type of relationship if both parties agree to it, and that's my primary issue with all of this. Arrow Eagle AC says, nothing wrong with being a stay-at-home parent, but your partner has to agree to it, and you don't get to strong-arm them into it. This level of blatant manipulation would be a deal-breaker for me, not the asshole. Not to mention, someone is using an 11-year-old boy as emotional blackmail. How else does he know that OP has threatened divorce? Wife has absolutely no respect for OP or their partnership. I can't see how she can recover from this. I'd divorce her and let her work 100% of the time to pay her own bills. That's what made me sad. She used the boy, emotionally scarring him just to manipulate the husband. That is low. I'd leave. That is manipulative as hell. Let her be a trad wife with some other sucker. And she immediately told the kids what was happening? Manipulation at its finest. Never involve the kids in adult issues. That would be the final straw for me. I would be done, OP, not the asshole. Yup, I hope that OP gets a good lawyer, because she's definitely the type to try parental alienation. Quote, you'll get over it. She don't give an F about you, dude. Not one single solitary flying fuh. The only reason she wants you back at the house is because you'd be the one paying the bills, not the asshole. She wants him back in the house as she will need to work more than she was to pay the bills on her own. Yep, I'm absolutely on OP's side in this one. There were 3 questions asked previously, so I'm going to answer them. Should I just swallow my pride and let my wife stay at home from now on? No. Should I follow through in divorcing her? Probably yes, given how messy this has all become in such a short period of time. How should I navigate this situation? Figure out what the hell is going on with her, why she did it, and where you can go from here as a couple. And if there is no good solution, you probably have to divorce her because she's already shown that she's going to unilaterally decide that she can do things and get away with it. What else will she do in the future, OP? Am I the asshole here? Absolutely not. You're a champion for sticking it out and, kind of giving this situation the chance that it deserves. But I think that your patience needs to wear thin at some point in the future with this. And now, on to the updates. First of all, I just want to thank you guys for the overwhelming support I've received. I've received a ton of messages, but please be patient with me. This week has definitely been tough on me. The whole family drama has definitely taken a toll on me, physically and mentally. I just want to add a few crucial details that I forgot to mention in my original post. I suffer from a genetic heart condition that puts me at risk to stress-induced cardiac arrest. I used to work full-time, but was forced to cut down on my work after suffering a silent heart attack. This was nearly a decade ago, but since then, I've worked on my own physical and mental well-being. Some people didn't understand me constantly mentioning why it was such an issue, working the extra 20%. Honestly, I don't know how much time I have left, and my kids are the most important things in my life. For my own mental health, it is essential that I get to spend time with my kids throughout the week. Besides my wife and kids, I have nothing. I hate my effing job and purely continue for the sake of my kids and wife. Well, after spending a day at my parents' house, eventually I felt enough time had passed for me to gather my thoughts on everything. What she did seemed like the ultimate slap in the face, but I went back with the intention to resolve this and didn't want to escalate this effing nightmare. My wife seemed happy that I returned, but she wasn't apologetic at all. The kids, especially my son, were ecstatic. That sort of made me ignore the lack of remorse for the time being. That same night, after putting my kids to bed, I told her that we need to have a serious discussion. I told her how I felt about everything that she did. The fact that she knows about my health condition and still went through with it. The fact that I set clear boundaries and she still chose to quit her job without my consent. How the fact that she told my son that I was going to abandon the family really felt like a stab in the back. How throughout all of this, she didn't even seem remorseful once. The fact that she chose her own happiness to the detriment of mine. The fact that I sacrificed so much for the family and I got repaid like this. The fact that we now as a family have to make major lifestyle changes since a third of our family income has vanished. For a split second, I saw an ounce of sadness in her eyes before she went right back to being annoyed with me. I then simply told her to lay out her half of the story. Here is a summary of what she said. She felt ignored by me constantly rejecting her proposal. She had worked long enough, and this was finally the time for her to enjoy her life as a true wife. She also said that I was being a baby about the whole spending extra time with the kids thing. That really pissed me off, and we ended up getting into a heated argument. I couldn't bear any of it anymore, and just ended up sleeping in the guest room. Until yesterday, nothing changed. She constantly tried to play everything off and wanted to embrace her new role by constantly trying to have sex with me and by making me my favorite dishes. It just felt like she was trying to manipulate me again, and I wasn't having any of it. I just kept on sleeping in the guest room. Well, my birthday was yesterday, and after work, my wife and kids picked me up and we ate dinner together. This was probably the first time that I genuinely had a smile on my face in a week. Well, that smile vanished because she tried to seduce me again later that night. I rejected her, and to my surprise, she had a full-on mental breakdown. I just held her as she started apologizing for what she did. She claims she didn't understand how much she hurt me, she was sorry for making me feel like an afterthought, etc. We ended up sleeping in the same bed yesterday. I feel like things were finally moving in the right direction, and I again asked her about searching for a new job today. Instead of getting mad, she just replied with, "I need to think about it." Yeah, that's where things are as of today. It feels like progress is being made, but I don't know, this just might be another manipulation tactic of hers. I'll probably make a final update in a month or so. Reddit isn't doing my mental health any favors. How would you guys move forward in this situation? Could I have done something better? Is she being genuine? A commenter says, if you're still questioning things at this point, respectfully, take your effing head out of your ass. And OP says, I guess you're hinting at divorce. Let me make it more clear for you. In our culture, divorce is the last resort and is extremely frowned upon, and especially if there are kids involved. I want to fix this. If she shows no improvement after I've tried everything, then yes, I will go for divorce. She's not even being a good trad wife since they're supposedly meant to put their husband's needs ahead of their own, but she's definitely putting her wants ahead of your needs. It sounds like you really need couples counseling. OP says, she believes that my needs solely revolve around sex. That's the problem. She has always been like this. She F's up or wants something from me equals trying to screw me 24/7. When she came to you with her issue, what did you do to help find a solution? OP says, I constantly told her that she can reduce her hours if she wants. That's fine with me. Being at home 24/7 without my consent is where I draw the line. Do you have life insurance? OP says, yes, I work for an insurance company. And on couples counseling, OP says, thank you. Couples therapy can definitely help. In the comments, Sugar Bacon Bits says, do not take any more hours at work or change your schedule at all. Keep doing what's best for you and make other changes around the house as needed to make up for the lack of income. If you pick up more hours, she will see that you can, and in her mind, will further justify her actions where it's okay. She for sure won't make any effort to find a job after that. Instead, cut out frivolous things that she does with money since she's the one who gave up her part of the income, like getting her nails done, hair done, buying extra clothing and accessories that aren't a necessity. She can cut costs and do some of the things at home for a fraction of the price. Tell her that she needs to start clipping coupons and buying things on sale and not at full price. If she wants to not contribute financially, then she'll need to contribute more than just making food, cleaning the house, and trying to have sex with you all the time. She will have to sacrifice living at the level of comfort that she's grown accustomed to because the money for it isn't there anymore. Do you actually think that she's looking for a job? Here is a hint. She's not. As far as she's aware, you folded and she won. She doesn't need to work anymore, and you are footing all the bills. OP's wife is vile and manipulative, especially to weaponize their kids, but she also probably knows that OP is extremely resistant to getting divorced and is therefore unhappily tolerating her shit. She's going to try to wear him down, and I'm concerned that OP will let her, considering that he refuses to consider divorce and wants to fix it. Choo-choo, this train wreck is still going. Wife is definitely a narcissist, and I honestly would not be surprised if she's actually trying to work him to death for his life insurance. OP needs to pull the band-aid off and just divorce her already. Cultural implications be damned. Yeah, I think that this is just another manipulation tactic. She's not genuine in her approach. She's just doing and saying anything to get her way. OP does seem to be falling for it. I want him to get out of there. I want him to divorce. I do. I don't care how frowned upon it is. It's either he stays in the boiling pot of hot water as a little lobster that's going to die in that hot water pot, or he escapes and amicably co-parents and doesn't put his kids through a messy future of staying together with your wife and, things just being shit. OP, please wake up and just do what's right for your kids, man. Please. Our next post is by user Powerful Argument 15, titled, I threw away my husband's collection and now he won't speak to me. My husband considers himself an art connoisseur when he's not. He filled his home office and the hallway with his collection, which he inherited from his grandfather. The point is that his grandfather got scammed, and most of the paintings, statuettes, and artifacts, fake guns, books, ship models, are fakes or reproductions. Very few real pieces. My husband knows, but he liked it as a kid, and so he kept it, adding stuff to it over the years. He always bought fakes or repros too, saying he likes how they look, and he wouldn't bankrupt us like that. To be honest, I couldn't stand that assortment of random knickknacks, especially because they aren't worth a thing. His hallway and office look like a kid's idea of a museum. He was away on a trip 2 weeks ago, and I seized the occasion to put all the stuff in storage and give a restyling to his office. I figured he'd get upset, but eventually accept it. When he came back, he got silent. I reassured him that I didn't throw away any of his knickknacks, I just put them in storage, and that I liked his room much better now, and his grandmother should have done the same for his grandfather. He said that the rest of the house is already in my style, and he accepted it, but the office and hallway were his space. I reassured him that he will like it better with time, but a week has passed and he looks depressed. He stopped spending time in his room, barely talks to me, and even refuses intimacy. He acts indifferent and told me that I can get rid of the few things that I kept. I'm starting to think that I overstepped. Did I make a mistake? I'm considering apologizing and getting his stuff back in his office. In the comments, Uneven Glow says, yeah, you disrespected him big time. OP says, I see that now. I will apologize and bring back his stuff. I'm also going to ask him to display some stuff in the living room. Sleepy Dreamer says, you did overstep. This is major disrespect. These things were important to him, and it doesn't matter if you like them or not. Even if it was the ugliest object that you have ever seen, you should still accept his feelings about it. This is about something more than just objects. This is showing him that his opinion doesn't matter to you and that he can't trust you. You should apologize immediately and let him know that you really do realize that it was a wrong thing to do. Yes, you made a mistake. You have been crapping on his hobby for a long time, and now you finally took the final step and converted his space into what you want. How selfish of you! Not only should you apologize, you should help him restore his space and buy him a few bad art pieces that he would like. Back up to the post, there is an update. Guys, I hear you. I effed up big time, and I know it. I'll ask him if he can forgive me, and I'll get back all his stuff. I'll also offer to display some more of his stuff in the living room as a peace offering. Yeah, I think this is very much a similar one to the last story. Wife does something unilaterally that the husband doesn't agree with, and the expected result occurs. At least in this situation, OP has enough dignity to reverse their decision and apologize, and even go one step further and start displaying some of the art pieces in the living room, letting him express himself some more instead of her just controlling everything. Let's hope that in the update, the expected result also occurs where things go back to normal and peace is restored. Unlike that first story, oh my god. And now, onto the updates. Hey guys, I know I screwed up big time, and your comments just reinforced that feeling. I went to my husband, gave him a massive apology, and told him I would really like to get back his collection and get his office and hallway like they were before. I also apologized for going behind his back and violating his safe space the way that I did. I also offered to let him display some pieces in our bedroom and living room, and next time he spots something he would like to add to his collection, I'm paying for it. He accepted my apology and forgave me. We spent the afternoon getting his stuff back in place. It's not worth it to create a rift between us for this. I might not like his taste in art, but I love this man, and if he's happy, then I'm happy too. Thank you all for the comments and the tough love. I really needed it. In the comments, Overrated New 0423 says, I didn't read or respond to the first post, but wow, what a wholesome and mature response that you evolved into. Yes, you way overstepped and were rude AF, but your response to him and here shows that you're a better human than most. Good for you for accepting growth and seeing what is truly important. She learned and is taking accountability. That's more than what a lot of people brought up here can do. I imagine that she won't be treating him all that poorly again. She didn't learn anything at all. It's not worth it to create a rift between us for this. She still thinks that she gets to control his space and interests. Don't you get it? It's not worth it. Means that she still thinks that she's right. Something you also might want to reflect on is the mentality that you had saying, yes, you're upset now, but in time you'll realize that I'm right. I wonder if there are other places in your relationship where you do this to him. Basically, this sounds like a pretty entitled and superior mindset where you think that if you're right and he's wrong, you can just do whatever you want because he'll eventually realize the error of his ways. You mentioned that his grandmother should have done this to his grandfather. Was this kind of behavior something that you noticed in your own family growing up? Quote, he was away on a trip 2 weeks ago, and I seized the occasion to put all the stuff in storage and give a restyling to his office. OP knew damn well they were the asshole. They were just banking on their husband being too much of a pushover to do anything about it. Quote, I figured he'd get upset, but eventually accept it. I reassured him he will like it better with time. Oh, she was definitely banking on him being a doormat. I'm just glad she didn't actually toss the things out. The idea that she let him display his items in the main living area as a favor or as an apology is messed up. Clearly, she didn't have too much of a change of heart. Quote, to be honest, I couldn't stand that assortment of random knickknacks, especially because they aren't worth a thing. Not surprising, she hates his stuff. She probably thinks that it's a huge concession on her part in letting him display his items outside of his office and hallway. Hates his stuff and clearly doesn't respect him or his wants and comforts. This is a wild story. Unless I'm misreading, the title is the only place that she says she actually threw it away, right? The body of the post says that she put it in storage and describes them putting it back in the office. At least that's good. The things from his grandfather would have been truly irreplaceable. I'm glad she apologized and seemingly had this change of heart, but I'm not feeling good about how it took the internet to convince her to show an interest in her husband's hobbies. She took all of this out and acted like it was a favor? Told him his grandma should have done the same. She knew that it was wrong because she waited until he was gone for 2 weeks to do it. She told him that he would get used to it. It is painful how dismissive she sounds in the first post. I don't want to deny someone the opportunity to grow if they're sorry, but I'm very concerned that she had to have this wake-up call to begin with. Also, knick-knack museums can be pretty cool. My friend, 36 female, manipulated me, 28 female, into believing that my boyfriend, 27 male, was having an affair. This is a complicated story, so I'll use fake names for everyone. My boyfriend is Tom, my friend is Jess, my boyfriend's friend is Kim, and my tech-savvy friend is Rich. Tom and I have been together for 3 years, and he's been a very affectionate and loving boyfriend during that time. I would have said yes if he proposed to me. Kim is a friend that he knows from work. I've always been a little uncomfortable with their relationship, but I never had a reason to believe that Tom and Kim were doing anything behind my back until Jess told me that she saw them at dinner together on a Friday night where Tom told me he was working late. Obviously, I was devastated. Tom is the most stand-up and honest man that I know, so I never expected in a million years that he would even lie to me, let alone have an affair. I didn't believe Jess at first, but then she showed me a blurry picture of the two together. I couldn't see either of their faces, but there were body figures that greatly resembled the both of them. I also saw the man wearing a watch. Tom always wears a watch, and Tom's favorite Vineyard Vines tie thrown over his shoulder. I was convinced. Jess told me that if I could get my boyfriend's phone, she'd be able to bypass the password and get all the messages that were on it, even the deleted ones. She gave me a stack of papers that she claimed was correspondence between Tom and Kim, which clearly indicated an affair between the two. Again, I was devastated. The papers showed that he called her the same nickname that he called me, and that cut really deep. I tried to approach Tom with this information in mind casually, saying, "Do you have anything to tell me?" I tried to be extra affectionate and loving with him throughout this, and he always reciprocated the love, which disgusted me, but gave me hope that he'd end his alleged affair with Kim. Every time I jumped through Jess's hoops to check, Jess would tell me that the affair was still ongoing. After 2 weeks, yesterday, I confronted Tom with everything, and unsurprisingly, he denied it. I told him that I was willing to fight for our relationship if he was willing to meet me halfway. Tom continued to deny everything, and he told me that if I didn't believe him, then we had no relationship. I didn't believe him. He slept on the couch and promised me that he'd be out of the house by the end of the week. I was so upset last night that I could not sleep. I cried for a really long time, and Tom heard me crying. He even tried to come in and comfort me, but I cussed him out and told him to leave. This morning, Jess was busy with work, so I went to a tech-savvy friend, Rich, for help with what Jess had done traditionally. I gave Rich the phone, and he told me that my demands were impossible. He said you cannot bypass the password on my boyfriend's phone. It's a work phone, without deleting the text messages. I teased him about not being as familiar with this stuff as he thought, but he adamantly stuck with his claim. When I showed him the papers that Jess gave me, he told me they were fake, and proved to me they were fake by making his own. F my life. I have absolutely no idea what to do, and no one to talk about this with. Rich told me that he's looking into everything, but I don't know if he'll come up with much. When I came home, Tom was already gone with his stuff, and I have no way of reaching him directly because I'm the one with his phone. I don't know what to do. I don't even know what's really going on in my life anymore. Edits. Lots of questions about this, so I'll try to clarify. I took my boyfriend's phone when he was out for a run, since he doesn't listen to music when he's jogging. The run sort of contributed to my suspicions, but he's been doing this ever since I met him. When I confronted my boyfriend, I didn't show him the proof, but I told him that I had conclusive evidence, and he said that was impossible. At the time, I thought he was lying. Jess had not replied to any of my voicemails or messages. In the comments, I'll put 7 to 3 on the fact that Jess is engineering your breakup to get at your man. Not gonna lie, there are ways to bypass security measures on some phones, and there are ways to retrieve deleted correspondence on some other phones, but realistically, it's unlikely that your friend has the knowledge or ability. It's a Liam Neeson thing, right? It takes a very particular set of skills. I believed that the loophole to unlock a phone without passcode, aka bypassing the phone's passcode, was removed via updates. Also, retrieving deleted data isn't easy by a long shot, especially if the data that was deleted is old and the hard drive has had time to write over that sector. Even data recovery methods off of traditional hard drives are not guaranteed, as the recoverable data needs to be fresh, and upon recovery, there's a strong possibility of data corruption. Tell your boyfriend this entire story and give him a chance to explain. You can very easily fake the messages, and you can just as easily fake the picture. Send me a pic of your boyfriend sitting in a chair, and I can make it look like he's having dinner with Angelina Jolie. It would take me about 10 minutes. Tell your boyfriend this entire story and beg him for a chance to explain. Fix that for you, but it ain't gonna happen. But confront Jess first and give her a chance to prove her evidence/hack phone in front of her. Don't want to make the same mistake again of reaching conclusions from uncertain evidence. I don't know what profession your ex works in, but with my work phone and all the client and account information that I have at any given time, I would probably be fired if it comes to light that someone dicked around and possibly extracted data. Like, no joke, the police would probably need to be involved. Seriously, it was his work phone, which apparently you still have? What the hell were you thinking? I know, right? It makes me sick to my guts thinking what would happen if someone stole my work phone and extracted data. I would lose my job for sure, and I might even be going to jail. Yeah, this is such a messy situation all around. I don't envy the position that you're in right now, OP. I feel like there was some lack of critical thinking going on here. I feel like there was a lot of ignorance on your part to just take your friend's word at face value and completely go with that and not question things, get another outside perspective of like, am I being played by either my boyfriend or my friend? You kind of burnt that bridge when you got to it, and now you're dealing with the ramifications of your actions, so I don't know, I really hope this update goes well, but it doesn't sound like it will be. And now, onto the update. I returned Tom's phone to him and we talked about the situation. I tried to explain everything, but he told me that the trust in our relationship was irreparable and that I need to learn how to effectively communicate my concerns. He's a firm believer that without trust, there is no relationship. So we've officially split up. He initiated no contact, and I've not spoken to him since. I finally got a hold of Jess through the phone, and she admitted she lied, but she won't tell me why. I'm sure she's not slept with Tom, but I can't be sure that she isn't trying. I'm unbelievably mad right now, mostly at myself. In the comments, but just to clarify, you are also never talking to this psycho Jess chick again, I hope. OP says, I want to know why she did this to me. Why would you honestly believe her when she explained why? Because I sure as hell wouldn't. Let the crazy go. It doesn't matter why she did this to you. She is toxic and manipulative, and you need to stay far away. She already created chaos and pain for you. Two possible reasons. A, you mentioned she might want Tom for herself, and B, she likes effing with people's minds. She won't give you a truthful answer. She will either lie or make excuses. People are jumping at the boyfriend saying that he should have forgiven OP and that he's throwing away a 3-year relationship. Well, hold on a minute, and let me give you the boyfriend's perspective. 1. Girlfriend believes friend that I cheated. This shows lack of trust. Red flag. 2. Girlfriend believes made-up evidence that anyone who is tech-savvy would deem fake. She would rather accuse me of infidelity than double-check with a tech-savvy friend. This shows incompetence. Red flag. 3. Girlfriend's trying to act extra loving in order to make me end the alleged affair rather than talk to me. Manipulation and inability to communicate. Red flag. 4. Girlfriend doesn't believe me when confronted and doesn't want to talk through issues. Even more lack of trust. Red flag. 5. Most people actually missed this, but girlfriend stole my work phone twice. You read that right. OP brushed over this in the last topic. She stole it once for the friend to produce the evidence and another time to bring to tech-savvy friend. This jeopardizes my job and is effing illegal. This shows that my girlfriend is a thief, plain and simple. Red effing flag. All in all, I completely understand why the boyfriend noped the hell out. I would have done the same, and OP is absolutely responsible for the demise of her own relationship. For those that don't understand his reaction, you need to look at it from his perspective. From her explanation, he never ever did anything wrong. I don't know how true that actually is. If I'm in a relationship and have never done anything wrong, am 100% trustworthy, then all of a sudden my girlfriend accuses me of cheating, makes me sleep on the couch, will not listen to my side of the story, kicks me out, then I don't think I deserve someone like that. I would rather move on and be with someone that won't go crazy. I know it isn't OP's fault entirely, but the fact that she didn't try to get anyone else's opinion on it and then just turned on him is not good. I would be done. Maybe this is something that can be repaired, sure, but it's unfair for him to have to work to get this trust back when he really has done nothing wrong at all. To him, it makes more sense to just go out and find another woman rather than repair a relationship and put in work, when he did nothing wrong and doesn't deserve to have to work to fix this broken relationship. Quote, "She gave me a stack of papers that she claimed was correspondence between Tom and Kim, which clearly indicated an affair between the two. Again, I was devastated. The papers showed that he called her the same nickname that he called me, and that cut really deep. I don't want to pile on OP, but she gave her friend her boyfriend's phone, and the friend claimed to have cracked the passcode and printed out all his salacious text messages with his affair partner? Why didn't she ask to see the actual messages on the phone? OP is too naive. Even I, a not particularly tech-savvy person, knows that cracking an iPhone's passcode is well nigh impossible. That's why people get all those phishing texts after their phone is stolen. Even criminal gangs can't do it, much less your random nosy friend. OP is too naive and insecure. Her friend knew it and played on it. Friend either wanted Tom to herself or was just jealous that OP had everything going well for her. Something someone else suggested that I'm willing to believe? She was trying to get corporate information off of his phone since it was the work phone. And I don't think any of those explanations are good enough to warrant just how stupid OP was in this instance. And maybe this is the kick in the teeth, the life lesson that they need to not do stupid shit like this again in the future. Because yeah, when you really spell it out like that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 list that the commenter did, it really shows just how many ways OP went wrong here. No trust, incompetent, manipulative, inability to communicate, even more lack of trust, ignorant, thieving. Is that someone that you would want to date? Because I sure as hell wouldn't want that, so I really hope you sit on this one and contemplate what you've done wrong, OP, because you're not going to be in relationships long if you continue to do things like this. You're your own worst enemy in this situation. Am I the asshole here for still not forgiving my fiancé? So I'm 28 female and my fiancé is 32 male. We've been together for 4 years. So for some context, he has one child who he had at 16. She lives with my fiancé. After he had her, at 20, he got a vasectomy as he didn't want any more kids. I never really wanted kids. My mindset was if I have one, I have one, and if I don't, I don't. So, I got pregnant. I told him and he was pissed as he said that I cheated on him. He threw me out that same day. I was so sad and lonely. I was able to stay with my mother as she believed me. I lost a lot of my friends and got a bad reputation at work to now I work from home. My mum was able to talk him into doing a DNA test at 18 weeks. He was the father. He was begging me to take him back and go live with him again and let him make it up to me. He's been very well in doing that. He set up a whole nursery and goes to every doctor's appointment, everything. I really want to forgive him. I really, really do, as he seems like he will make a good father, and his daughter is so excited for her little sister, and she just wants to plan. All I do is just remember how when I had my morning sickness, my mother took care of me, not him. How when I needed to go to the hospital, my mother took me, not him. And he didn't even come to see me. I don't know. I've been breaking down so much because of this. I just don't know if I should forgive him and try to put it past us. My best friend said that I should just let the past be the past and focus on the baby, while my mother thinks that we should just break up if I can't forgive him. So am I the asshole here for not forgiving him? In the comments, No Mechanic 3048 says, is he telling everyone that his vasectomy failed and he's the father? Are people apologizing for accusing you of cheating? If not, I wouldn't move forward yet. Yes, the man needs to take an apology tour. Sounds like the falling out was very public. I will only consider him back in my life if he tells the truth to everyone and be just as public about it as the falling out was. Otherwise, what's the point when this man helped destroy your public image and self-esteem? I understand why he thought OP cheated. After all, vasectomies are supposed to be permanent, but I also understand that occasionally they can fail. He could have handled this situation completely differently. He could have asked for a paternity test. He could have kept his mouth silent on this matter until the results were in. He owes OP a public apology. As publicly as he screamed cheater, he should scream just as publicly about how he was wrong and his swimmers still work, and he has the DNA test to prove it. If I were him, I would have immediately scheduled an appointment with a doctor to confirm that I was still sterile. I assume he never did that in the entire time before the paternity test? And OP says, no, he did not. If you feel like you can move past it, then go to counseling together. But you don't have to move past it. Do a survey. Ask anyone you know who's had a vasectomy what they were told about the risk of impregnation despite the surgery. The one thing every guy knows is that pregnancy is still a very real possibility in spite of the snip. Nothing is foolproof. The fact that your ex wouldn't believe his long-term fiancé and needed proof from a third party that you were telling the truth is stupefying. This man didn't first and foremost care for you or your baby's safety. His best solution to this situation was to kick you to the streets and end the relationship within a few hours. You were definitely not the asshole. Your ex-fiancé's mental or emotional health issues are his to deal with in his own time. Right now, you've had to make the decision to become a parent alone and are expectant as a single parent. $100 says he's putting up a performance to not look like the bad guy to everyone involved, hence the good dad vibe that he's just working hard to give. You are safer with your mom, and I'd suggest you figure things out on your own and make arrangements for him to provide support for his child. This is all about what you're able to forgive. Do not take into account anything else, because if you don't let this go, it'll ruin the relationship in the long run anyway. He could have easily just asked for a paternity test or got his sperm counted because vasectomies are not 100%. Instead, he chose the worst possible option and you had to suffer because of it. If he would have never gotten the test, you would still be with your mother and have a bad reputation. This also shows you that in big conflict, he has no issues reacting to the highest degree. Yeah, I wonder if this is one of their biggest fights or if this is one of their only fights in this relationship, because that last sentence resonates so hard. This shows you that in a big conflict, he has no issues reacting to the highest degree. Has he done this before and you shrugged it off, OP, and was like, I'm sure when bigger, more important issues come up, he's not going to do the same thing. He was simply saying it in jest. This will not escalate, I'm certain of it. As to your question, are you the asshole for not forgiving your fiancé? I don't think you are. I think this situation happening at all was unlikely, because why did he agree to the paternity test after 18 weeks? What made him change his mind? Why now? Why not from the get-go? Why didn't you trust me initially? Would you have changed your mind if you didn't do the paternity test, or would I still be filth to you? Your love bombing, groveling, and all of that is just smokescreen in my eyes because I don't trust you anymore, and I don't think I should trust you again after this. And yeah, absolutely, you can make these situations work. I understand that. Living in the real world means compromising and doing things for your partner that dickheads in Reddit wouldn't do because they're one-track minded. I get that. But this is a genuine fork in the road kind of situation. And if it was me at the wheel of the car there, I wouldn't forgive him for that one because what is wrong with you? Even if he was going to do an apology tour, I don't think that makes up for the 18 weeks of hurt and damage that he's done to your life and your reputation. And now, on to the updates. So I'm going to address some of the main questions. Some of them was, how did he tell your friends? And that was because he had their information due to us planning a wedding, and some of them were mutual. The second question I got, which someone did text me about, was, what did my stepdaughter say? For her, it was confusing, as she had her dad telling her that I cheated. So she mainly believed him as that's her dad. Some of you asked how many weeks I was, and I'm 27 weeks with a baby girl. Also, a lot of people ask, do I live there with him? And it's a no. I live with my mother, but I stayed at his house some nights. So to the updates. I had a talk with him, and to summarize it, I told him that I do understand why he was mad and upset, and to a certain extent had kicked me out. But I told him what hurt is that he didn't even give me a chance to explain, and you were certain that I cheated on you, and then you told people without solid proof that I did cheat. We agreed that for now we will not be together, and maybe later in life we'll be, but that we could date or see whoever we wanted for now. I also gave him his ring back. We did agree to keep this out of court for now, as I don't want or need his money. I talked to his daughter and told her that she could see her sibling when she wanted to as well, as long as she at least texted me the day of, or early the day of. So that's about it. If there are any more questions, I'll try to answer them in the comments. In the comments, Leave It to the Fates says, as a lawyer, take it to court. You need a legal arrangement of how things are going to work. Please trust me. I've seen so many cases where we decided to not go down the legal route, and I cannot emphasize how badly most of them went, especially if new partners are introduced. You may not want or need his money, but your child deserves it. Put it all away in a college fund or first house fund if you want, but get legal child support sorted before the baby arrives. Cooperation can quickly turn to manipulation, distrust, and abuse. Your former partner has already shown you how he behaves when he thinks that you have wronged him, even though he had no proof. He's shown you that he cannot be trusted. Please believe him. Those sterility checks after a vasectomy should not be considered optional under any circumstance, and let this be proof. Things might not take properly, so always listen to your doctors and ask if you're unsure. You don't eat custard if you don't know your eggs are cooked properly, so you shouldn't be bathing anyone's eggs in your custard if you're not certain either. Honestly, it should be checked regularly anyway. There are cases of them reversing themselves / the vas deferens healing back together. Rare, but possible. To put it simply, life, finds a way. My son is the result of a vas deferens self-repair. Husband did the sterility check, several years later, ta-da, a baby. My husband never questioned my loyalty, to my knowledge, and defended me to people who said that I had been unfaithful. My son was the result of both a failed vasectomy and a failed IUD. It wasn't placed correctly. We love him, but man, were we surprised. Yep, I have 2 younger brothers, 11 months apart, post my dad's vasectomy. I know the surgery is different more recently and has less chance of a self-repair, but it definitely happened as I worked with a lady who was shocked as hell to be pregnant in her 40s with 2 teen kids. Puttasonda says, he tossed me out of my ass and slandered me to everyone I know, but I'm sure our informal agreement will be fine. He doesn't need to support the child that he also abandoned. Why do people do this? Pride. It's about them. On some level, I get the sentiment. This is my kid and my responsibility, and I will care for them. When you've been treated like shit and your child has been abandoned, it might even feel empowering to take this approach. But it's short-sighted. It assumes the father's attitude will never change, that your financial situation will never change. It lets crappy fathers off the hook. Even if you don't need child support, that could be a college fund or a house down payment later on, or an emergency fund right now. It's just blabbering, sorry. I was one of these kids, and watching my mother struggle while my piece of shit father flounced away was formative. I am 100% with Leave It to the Fates. I hate when someone says they don't want their partner's money when it's not to fulfill a want, but to better raise the child. College funds, but also school trips, summer camps, etc. Of course, it's a different story if the partner is abusive or the mum is super rich, but a lot of posts are just like this one. And I can't even tell you how many times I've seen a dad, even with court-mandated child support, stop paying or wanting to pay less because they start dating again and the new girlfriend thinks that they should be spending the money on her. Even more if they have a new kid. 100% this. It's about the child and raising the child in the best environment possible. There is nothing wrong with coming to an agreement and getting it in writing. There is no telling what your financial situation will be like in 5, 7, or even 10 years down the road. People lose jobs, have unexpected expenses, etc. It's for the protection in the future. Dad has already exhibited emotionally extreme behavior and major decision-making without considering all of the facts. This would prevent him from doing so and putting OP in a financial mess. And absolutely, I agree with that one. You are stupid if you don't go and get this in writing and force him to legally support the child. Oh my god, do not do that to a child. You are just giving them an escape card to be like, ha, well, it's not in writing. I don't have to give child support and I can just disappear now and you can't do anything about it. This is bad decision making on par with that one woman in Texas who had signed in writing that if her and her husband break up, that she can't come at him for any money or anything in the future. She doesn't get any alimony, nothing. She's just broken up with her husband. He can do whatever he wants, and she's like, what, late 50s? No job, no experience, no nothing? To me, it is very much akin to that situation, and do not let these dickheads take advantage of you. It is not worth it. Our next post is by user, not using my main for sure, titled, Am I wrong for finding comfort in my late wife's twin sister? My wife passed away in a horrific car accident 8 months ago, leaving myself and our 3-year-old daughter behind. I was far too depressed to do anything, much less care for my daughter properly. So my sister-in-law, her twin sister, essentially moved in to help out. While sobbing about my wife's death together, one thing led to another, and we ended up having sex. After the first time, we both felt nauseated with guilt, but soon came to realize that it was helping both of us cope. She's so much like my wife that when I'm with her, I'm able to kind of forget what happened. It's temporary relief, but relief nonetheless. She grew to believe that she was doing a good thing by helping me cope and be a better father to my daughter. It's been a regular thing up until now. I feel obviously conflicted about it. No one can know what's going on, as it might tear our family apart, but it's helped me to not off myself, and I have been a much better father/member of society since we began. I don't know if I'm prepared to stop. Help me see things objectively. How effed up is this? Edit, I didn't specify it the first time we slept together was a month after her passing. Yes, it was very sick in hindsight, and we both regretted it deeply. It didn't happen again for another 2 months, and then continuously until today. In the comments, OKPaper8216 says, I think it's pretty obvious that you need to find a therapist to discuss all of this with. And so does the sis, damn. When I read your comments, I was surprised because I just assumed the you was plural, because good God, do they both need it. My husband died 3 years ago. Grief is a monster. Unfortunately, we have to go through it. My concern is, in a way, you're replacing your wife with someone who looks just like her and has the same mannerisms. I believe it would be mentally healthy for you to have her move out. After you've had a reasonable amount of time to get as much grief out of you as you can revisit the relationship. I found grief counseling helpful. Grief is always there, but it changes. Quotes, in a way. She is so much like my wife that when I'm with her, I'm able to kind of forget what happens. Not in a way. More like exactly. There's zero chance this doesn't lead to incredible trauma for everyone down the road. Not gonna lie, this is pretty weird, man, and I think all this will accomplish is pissing everyone off. I can't imagine losing my spouse. I have no idea how that would impact me mentally, but I know that it would mess me up. I understand how this could cause someone to make all sorts of crazy decisions, but unfortunately, it seems like you're trying to fill the void with her sister, but it won't be the same. Life will never be the same. Eventually, you'll likely realize this, and it won't feel right. There is nothing wrong with moving on in due time. Everyone deserves partnership and happiness. However, ask yourself, is this really moving on? Or is this attempting to hold on to something that will never come back? Will this really help fill the void in your life? Or will it remind you of your wife every day and keep your heart shattered longer than is fair for anyone to experience? OP replies, you're right. I can't see this ending well. I've been acting emotionally instead of logically. I think I'll cut things off with her and see a therapist. I think it's also damaging to your wife's twin who is grieving. You aren't being with her to be with her, you're being with her as a sort of replacement for your wife. You're viewing her as your wife in some ways. This is not a healthy way of grieving. It will make it harder for you in the long run. You need to process what has happened. You both need to grieve in healthy ways. End it sooner rather than later, and don't blame yourselves for this happening, as people often act irrationally out of grief. Take some time apart from each other until it's okay to be back in each other's lives again. I'm so very sorry for your loss. Nah, he should blame himself a little bit, insofar as fully coming to terms with how disrespectful and not normal his behavior and decisions have been, yes, even when considering his grief. People grieve losing loved ones every day. They don't often start screwing their loved one's closest family members. OP, I'm glad to hear that you're getting therapy. Take accountability for this and move on. Are you in love with her? Is she in love with you? All you mention is the sex. I think it would be way healthier if she moved out and you put the sex on hold. Both of you should be in individual therapy, not seeing each other unless other people are present. At the end of 1.5 years, you could try to resume a more personal, but still platonic relationship. At the end of 2 years, reassess, and probably no one would be shocked if you started dating her. If it's just sex, knock it off. You know better. OP replies, I'm afraid it may be love at this point. It's very intimate. You are not in love with her. You are in love with your wife who she reminds you of. Seriously, get a therapist. So why do you pretend like you're destroyed over the fact that you're despairing your wife's memory? If you think this is so intimate and almost love? Also the fact that this started only a month after her passing, yet you're trying to paint it as grief effing you up? Lol, yeah, right. You are disgusting. Did you even love your wife? Because you're not acting like it. This is so sick to a whole new level. Your wife must be turning in her grave. 2 of the most important people in her life are using her death as an excuse to do disgusting things in the name of her passing? You really never loved your wife if you're maybe in love with her sister, and her sister is more evil than anything, using your grief to justify sleeping with her sister's husband? You didn't even let her body get cold before you shagged her sister. Instead of focusing on the daughter your wife left behind, the last real part that you have of her, you were thinking about your needs. You're disgusting. Applause to everything here, and I want to add that this will undoubtedly F up your child who lost their mum. Please put a stop to this until you spend significant time in therapy processing your loss and the associated grief. I'm sorry you and your family are going through this, but this is not okay. Yeah, and the sister seems more in the weird/wrong here. I mean, you lose your spouse, which is huge. You lose the person that you talk to every day, you lose having someone to hug and cuddle, and you lose the sex. And on top of that, you're supposed to care for a young child? That's never going to be easy, and here's someone very similar acting and looking to your lost love, and your mind is a total mess, and that's a nice way to turn off the brain and just get comfort, so I see why he's into it. But the sister? Lost her sister, duh. So why was screwing the sister's husband especially comforting to her? Doesn't she have her own significant other? Her own friends? It seems weird to me that she didn't stay strong and not sleep with him, but I don't know her situation. I'm gonna tap out and say this is above my pay grade. I don't know. Obviously trauma makes people work in mysterious and weird ways. This makes me want to crawl out of my skin, this one, and I do not like it. And now, onto the update. So I talked to my sister-in-law, which ended up in us in bed together once again. I don't think we can cut things off quite yet. It seems like the majority of criticism is about how this will affect my daughter, which is very understandable. We've just decided to take better care to keep our relationship private for as long as possible until we are ready to move on. In the comments, Send Me Shibari says, I feel bad for this person. I've lost people, and by God, if I had the chance to have a version of them back in my life, I'm not sure I wouldn't take it. Is this healthy? Definitely not. Is it understandable? Yeah. What tragic circumstances. I feel worse for the twin who deserves to be loved for herself and not as a weird replacement. More than enough sympathy to go around. Poor lady lost her twin. That's a bond stronger than normal sibling relationships. This whole situation is deeply sad. They're both trying to avoid the grief that they're feeling for the loss of their loved one, wife for OP, twin for the sister, and are absolutely compensating for the lost person in each other. Completely common response? Well, not the screwing your late wife's twin part, but also super unhealthy. The situation is messed up, but those really nasty reactions aren't fair. Grief F's you up, and it's very normal to seek comfort like this very quickly after a spouse's death. The only messed up bit is that he's treating the sister-in-law as a replacement for his wife, but even that's clearly from a place of suffering and pain, not a sign that he's a terrible person. I thought that I was going crazy reading those comments, because I was like, huh? I get that it's damaging, but it's hardly the most effed up thing ever. If someone you loved died and you had someone that looked exactly like them available, it's not a stretch to want to seek comfort in them. There's no empathy at all. My husband's affair daughter was dropped off at our house 2 weeks ago, and it's causing issues in our marriage. Is there any way to salvage this? My, 34 female, life is falling apart, and it's all thanks to my husband, 36 male. We had a perfect life. Both of us worked in the jobs that we loved. We have a beautiful daughter, 10 female, and a healthy son, 5 male. When I was pregnant with our son, we both almost died due to complications. So before the birth and even afterwards, I didn't want to have sex. Why would I? I almost died, and my body was in pain for months afterwards, even with strong medication. I thought my husband would understand because he never pushed me for sex or even asked. I thought it was because he understood my pain, but apparently he was just getting it from somewhere else. A few months ago, we were visited by Child Protective Services. I was terrified at first, frantically thinking of what did we do wrong with our children to cause a visit. But no. As it turns out, some woman that I've never met before died in a car accident, leaving behind a daughter, and my husband's name was on the girl's birth certificate, and he was named in the woman's will as the father. I thought that it was a mistake at first, until my husband told me the truth. As it turns out, while I was suffering my pregnancy and the after effects of almost dying, my husband would go to a woman that he knew at work and get it off with her. He said this as if he did me a favor. Well, the CPS worker explained to us, my husband is her closest living relative that can care for her. The woman's family apparently wanted nothing to do with the poor little girl. When she asked us if we wanted to take her in, I said yes. Yes, I know this might be the true cause of all of my issues, but my husband pawned that poor girl off to live with her single mother for 5 years. He doesn't get to pawn her away when she needs help. She is his responsibility and now is ours. I told him that I'll help take care of the necessary visits for wellness checks and help with whatever the CPS wants us to do. All he had to do was explain everything to our children. The fact I'm saying this tells you what he did. Yes, nothing. We had to clean out a room and buy new furniture and even looked for some toys. Our children go to a private school, so I picked up some more work hours in order to be able to afford her tuition. I was the one who had to tell our extended families the big change because he didn't want to do so. I did almost all the heavy lifting. So, color me shocked when his daughter finally joins our family 2 weeks ago and the first words out of our children's mouths was, "Who's that?" Yes, I was the one who had to tell our children's school, extended families, family doctors, and my workplace about my husband's affair and subsequent addition to our family. But he couldn't tell our children being he was too ashamed to face them. So guess who was the one who had to explain that they have a sister now as I'm trying to settle the poor girl into her new home and room. And shocker, our children didn't take the news well as it was happening right in front of them. My daughter was screaming while crying, causing my son and the little girl to cry. A situation that could have been avoided if my husband just did the one thing that I asked of him and explained everything to them much sooner. It's been 2 weeks of her living with us and the situation hasn't improved. My husband has not picked up the slack that comes with having a new addition to the family, so we're struggling now to make ends meet. I feel embarrassed bringing all 3 children around for appointments and groceries because the little girl is very much obviously not mine, and I can tell people are judging our family. My daughter is much moodier and less happy and refuses to even acknowledge our newest addition to the family. Our son doesn't really understand what is going on, and it's causing even him to lash out. And I don't even know how to help the poor little girl because I know that if I feel like my life is falling apart, she must feel even worse. I suggested family therapy. Therapy for our children, even just marriage therapy so we can hopefully move past this and work together as a unit for all the children. He's refused everything, saying that he knows he'll be lectured by everyone when all he was doing was trying to help me. I just don't know how to fix this. Please help me. I don't want to divorce him because I just know that will make it worse for the kids, but that's the only option that my family is telling me. Meanwhile, his family is begging me to make this work and to just look past it. Thank you. I hear you all loud and clear. We'll be looking into therapy for me and the children and hopefully a good divorce lawyer. But first I need to get some answers because some of you are raising some good points. OP on if she was sure that her husband wasn't cheating now. OP says, I know this is pathetic to say, but I really did think he was amazing before all of this. When I gave birth to our daughter, he stepped up to the plate by caring for her and doing housework. He was an attentive father to both of our children before all of this. I was able to tell him that I needed to take a break, and he would just step to it and care for them and make sure that I could relax. I don't know why he committed such an affair and then try to excuse himself, and I don't know why he's decided not to care about our children as much as he used to. I guess I just keep hoping that if we all go to therapy and find the root of the issue that we can fix it and go back to how our relationship used to be. Now reading all these comments that are sounding just like my family, I guess I was just being naive. OP on leaving the child to her father, as the girl is not OP's responsibility, OP was told to leave her husband. OP says, I have to disagree with this comment. As much as I hate my husband's actions, I do not hate her enough to just abandon her in such a terrible time for her. I agreed to take her into our home, so she is indeed my responsibility as much as my husband's. And I didn't say this at first because I didn't know if it was important, but she and my son have gotten really close in such a short amount of time. I would feel heartbroken separating the two. Usually Right 2 says, the kids need therapy. If he won't go, that should tell you a lot. He doesn't give a shit about any of you. Also, doing you a favor? What the actual fuck? None of these kids asked for this. You didn't ask for this. He created all of this mess and won't help to fix it. I'd be talking to an attorney second, but therapist first. This, take your babies and go, OP. He can hire a sitter to care for his daughter. Your first priority has to be your kids, and your daughter sounds like she's not doing well. Find an apartment and separate your finances. If, even after that, he still won't do anything, which I suspect he won't, then what more proof do you need that he's a despicable loser? Go find an apartment, get your kids in therapy, and talk to an attorney. This marriage sounds long over. Quit setting yourself on fire to keep him warm. He certainly doesn't care about you. Screw that. She should get to keep the house. He can go get a damn apartment. He won't take the other child with him if he leaves. He shouldn't be taking any kids with him. This 5-year-old daughter just lost her mother. That is hugely significant for her and traumatizing. OP has agreed to take her on and understands how much she needs a mother right now. What she doesn't need is an absentee dad, especially when she's just met him for the first time. If he didn't care for his daughter for 5 years, he certainly isn't going to care about her now out of shame. He sees her as a problem to the bubble that he created for his family out of lies. I think letting a welcoming couple start the process of adopting her is the best option for her in the long run, but I don't think upending her life again right now is a good idea. Your husband sounds like a loser, and it sounds like you're an amazing woman that deserves much better than him. I'd agree. Plus, he has the audacity to say that he did it because he's trying to help her. He completely takes no responsibility whatsoever. OP sounds like she's trying to look beyond her husband's infidelity and putting the needs of an innocent child first. A child who has lost her mother and effectively has no father or family. OP deserves better. Honestly, disgusting actions that the father has taken in this situation, and it doesn't appear to be any easy or reasonable response to a situation like this. The way that I see it in my head is divorce, keep the house, keep all 3 kids together and get them into therapy, and get as much child support out of that asshole as possible. But in the real world, I don't know how possible a solution like that really is. He's such a dickhead that I'd be hard-pressed to believe that he won't drag this divorce through the courts and try to drain all of their money out of spite for his stupid decisions. I'd hate to find out that my partner was so evil and spiteful after such a long and happy marriage together. Like, what a world-shattering event. I hate that. And now, onto the updates. I'm sorry, you were all right. It was a lie. When all of you were pointing out how the kids' responses to the youngest arriving didn't make sense, it made me realize how correct that is. They came home to a room all made up, and I made passing comments to them asking about how excited they were for the youngest's arrival. They should have known about her. At this point, I decided to just ask my eldest daughter directly because she was still so upset about it, and I think subconsciously knew that I wasn't going to get the truth from husband. So I went to her room while she was lying in bed, and I asked her. I told her that I asked her father to explain the 2 of them what was going to happen. They saw her new room. I talked about her to them, so I don't understand my eldest's reaction. So yes, it turns out husband didn't tell them, and then me, the truth. A surprise to no one, I'm figuring out. The story he told the kids was that the youngest was a daughter of one of our friends, and we felt so bad that we had to take her in. Nothing about her being their half-sister or him having a daughter with another woman. Well, when she came home that day and the kids asked who she was, the pictures we were able to share of our youngest, she had braids in and wore much different clothing than when she arrived. It was my response to them that ruined his little lie. This is her name. Your half-sister, remember? Our son was too young to really get what it meant, but our daughter did. That's why she freaked out that day. Not because of the new addition to the family, but because what the new addition meant. I apologized for causing her to freak out that day, for not sitting both her and her brother down for a real discussion over how they feel and to make sure their father did what he was supposed to do, and apologized for only talking to her now after she had a much-deserved reaction to it all. My daughter accepted the apology, and I asked her if that was why she was distant from the youngest. She told me that's part of it, and because word got out at her school about what the newest addition to our family going to the school meant, so now she's being teased and picked on for having a father who cheated. It broke my heart, realizing just how badly I messed up. By continuing to beg this spineless man they called a father to help them, and then allowing myself to get shut down, I was essentially allowing all these kids' needs to be ignored. I told my daughter that I'll sign her and her brother and sister up for therapy. Of course, the pathetic man tried to plead with me not to when I mentioned signing the kids up, but I told him to give it up already. All 3 children's lives have changed, and it will help them adjust with a professional to speak to. He's been grumbling and whining about it, but I don't care anymore. And this might cause many to be upset with me, but I'm in the process with my husband to have him transfer custody of the youngest to me. I've grown to care for her, and as some comments in my last post have pointed out, once I do divorce him and leave with our kids, I don't doubt that he'll treat her awfully or neglect her. He's been right on board, and it took some convincing, but his parents finally agreed to be witnesses. I got all the paperwork set up and scheduled an appointment with an attorney to help with anything else. Once that happens, I'll try to get everything I need in order to have a smoother divorce and then subsequent move to be closer to my family. In the comments, PancakeWagon26 says, "You are doing a very noble thing taking care of this girl. She is not your responsibility, but you're taking it on anyway. You are an angel. You really are an amazing woman. This poor child lost her mum, and you are stepping up when not many would. I can't imagine what you're going through, but with a mum like you, I feel confident that you will steer you and your kids through this. Your kids are infinitely lucky to have you as a mum. I can't even imagine how your husband could have possibly gotten an angel or saint like you to marry him. After you've divorced him, I implore you to wait for an absolutely ripped veterinarian, fireman, musician, or mechanic." just to ensure that they have half a chance of deserving your affection. Have a pleasant day. I find it bewildering that you never spoke with your oldest up until now, but I'm glad that you eventually did. You are a very good person for still loving and accepting the affair child despite the circumstances around her conception. I'm glad that you're divorcing that spineless cheater though. He was never worthy of a woman like you. OP's soon-to-be ex is one of the biggest pathetic skeeves that I've seen here. He cheated on his pregnant wife because having his dick wet mattered more than his family, and he didn't even have the balls to tell the family what he had done, and didn't pick up any slack around the house when his love child came to live with them. He deserves nothing, and I hope OP gets everything when she divorces him. Saying that he did it for her really rubs salt in that wound too. Nah, saying he did it for her and acting like he did the right thing, only to claim to be too ashamed to tell the kids and too embarrassed to tell everyone else, kind of feels like OP should have said, "Why are you ashamed or embarrassed? Didn't you say you cheated on your dying/pregnant wife for her sake? Which is it?" That's what got me. He justified it to himself and then tried to convince OP that it was for her sake. But when he had to admit it to everyone else, he knew that they would all see through his BS excuses. I'd kind of hope that that is the last update for this one, but if there is another update in the future, I want to see her taking him to the courts and getting everything she deserves, and then some. A cynical little part of my brain even believes that he was justifying the cheating, saying that, oh well, I'm gonna get away with it anyway if my wife dies. There's a good chance that happens. Might as well get that in now, just in case. I know that's an insane thought, but given his actions and how absolutely lacking of morals this guy is, I don't think that's a stretch personally. I wish him the worst. Our next post is by user ProfessionalBig5078, titled, "Am I the asshole for refusing to pay for half of my ex-girlfriend's flight that she can't use because we broke up and now possibly not even mine? My girlfriend, female 24, and I, male 25, broke up about 2 weeks ago. It was more her call than mine, but we both knew that things weren't going well for a while. So I was sad but not surprised. We ended things amicably and said that we'd still be friends, whatever that means. Anyway, we did the exchange of things in each other's apartment a couple of days after the breakup, and then didn't talk again until 2 days ago when she texted me. We had been planning to go on a trip to the Canary Islands this year. The plane tickets were about $800 a piece, and the Airbnb was like $1,600. So we decided that I'd pay for the Airbnb, and she would pay for the flights. The flights were non-refundable, and we're already past the date that I'd get any meaningful refund from the Airbnb. So I decided that I'd just get a friend to split the Airbnb and go anyway. I'd been planning on telling my ex that I'd pay her for my tickets so that she didn't lose the money, but she texted me about it first. On Friday, she offered to pay me for the Airbnb minus the cost of my plane ticket because she was still interested in going with a friend. I told her that I was actually planning on going with a friend, and I was going to pay her for my ticket and still go. She said okay, but I actually needed to pay her for my ticket and half of the cost of hers because she can't use it now. Basically, she says that she agreed to buy 2 plane tickets under the understanding that we would both go on the trip, and I agreed to pay for an Airbnb under the same understanding, but since that's not happening, we should evenly share the lost costs. Since I'm still using the room and my ticket, the only lost cost is her $800 ticket, and we should each bear $400 from that. I told her that I didn't think that that's fair at all. First of all, it was her idea to break up, so the reason that we aren't going is on her. Second, there is no reason why she can't use her ticket. She should just get an Airbnb and still go with her friend. I even said that I'd sit in her friend's seat and let her friend in my seat so they can sit together. Whether or not she uses her ticket is on her, and she bears any cost of that. She said that she didn't want to go at the same time as me, and also the good Airbnbs are taken at that time. Anyway, we went back and forth, and she even threatened to cancel the tickets, even though she can't get any money back. So I said, you know what? Go ahead and cancel them. Get whatever refund you can. I'll just buy my own ticket and not pay you back anything. She said, I'm not going to talk to you if you're being a dick. Let's talk about this later when you can be mature. That's where it is right now. My friends are divided. Most say that I should at least pay her for my ticket, which I'm willing to do if she doesn't cancel it. But some say that I should pay for half of hers as well. I'm sticking firm that I won't pay for half of her ticket. Am I the asshole? In the comments, CT4130 says, "Not the asshole. At this point, do not engage her about this trip again. You already said the original agreement was that she would buy the tickets and you do the Airbnb, so she can't come at you for repayment because the original agreement was not breached. Let her keep the ticket and simply buy you and your friend your own. You may even find a better deal on tickets the closer to your trip. I have a friend who retired, executive position at an airport, and he goes on a website that he says gives the best prices and comparisons. Airfare Watchdog, go and have fun." OP says, "Thanks. I feel bad letting her be out the cost of my ticket when I'll still need to buy a ticket. Like, that's just an extra $800 going to the airline that really doesn't need to happen, but I also don't want to have to worry about my flight getting cancelled the day before I leave or something. Contact the airline and let them know that there is a ticket booked in your name, but you no longer have contact with the purchaser. See what they can do." I attempted to cancel a flight that I purchased in my ex's name and get my money back. They said they couldn't cancel his flight, he would have to, and he would keep the flight credits. Needless to say, I was pissed, but I opted to eat that $200 instead of him going on the trip for my own sanity. OP might be able to keep the flight without any issues if she cancels. I don't understand any reason why you would have to pay half her tickets. Like, I don't understand what her logic is in that scenario. Did she have an actual answer as to why she feels like you should pay half her ticket? OP says, "Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me either. Basically, she thinks that us not going on the trip is causing us to lose $800 on a ticket. It's only because of the random way that we arranged the payments. Me getting the room and her getting the tickets, that results in her losing the $800. It should be a $400 loss each. It's very simple. She's out the money, she wants it back, and is going to use manipulation tactics to pretend that everyone else on Earth would pay her back. No discussion. And she's hoping that you fold. If she offered $800, it's fair to pay her the same. She didn't offer the $1,200, it does suck though. I don't blame her for asking. Her deciding to break up has no bearing in my mind, since breakups are good for both parties. And it does suck that you get the whole vacation without losing any money while she loses the full $800, just because of how you decided to split the costs. In short, I don't think that you're an asshole if you don't pay her $1,200, but I do think that it would be kinder and more respectful if you did." OP says, "Thanks. I actually brought this up, and she said she was offering me $800, but would have paid me $1,200 if I'd asked for it. And honestly, she could still go. Like, there are hotels available. If I were in her position, I'd split a hotel room with a friend and still use my tickets." Yeah, easy for her to say, but not necessarily true. Words are cheap, so I don't think that I'd weigh that much. I agree though, I get her feelings of not wanting to go at the same time, for sure. Breakups are hard. And now, onto the update. Hey, thanks to everyone who commented on my last post. I got so much more advice than I was expecting, and I appreciate it. A lot of you were saying the airline could do something. I told that to my ex, and she actually bought the tickets from a discount agency online, and there was no refund possibility. If you're curious, I can tell you how it all ended. I eventually told my ex that I was not going to pay her more than the $800 for my ticket under any circumstances, and she could take it or leave it, and I'd just get my own tickets. She later asked if I'd be willing to let her use the Airbnb if she paid me the entire $1,600, basically letting me out of the whole trip altogether. To be honest, the Canary Islands were her idea in the first place. It's not like my #1 destination. I could take the money and go somewhere that I am more interested in. I asked my friend who was going to go with me if he would be more interested in something cheaper and closer. He hadn't bought his plane ticket yet because he was waiting for me to sort everything out with my ex. We looked at some options and decided to accept her offer and go to Belize. I had my ex agree in writing to pay any fees or damages incurred at the Airbnb. I really don't think there will be any. She's not the type of person to damage a hotel room or something, but I just want to be sure. I got Venmo'd the money by a male co-worker of hers. They've been work friends for a while now, and I've met him a couple of times. I don't think this is like a couples thing or what. I don't really think she cheated on me with him. I could maybe see her being interested in him, possibly being a factor for our breakup, but I don't even know if they're together or going as friends. At the end of the day, I don't really care what she does. I got my money back, she gets her vacation. I'm guessing her coworker also bought his own plane tickets, so at the end of the day, he's the one eating the $800 loss. So he can have fun with that. My ex and I are technically amicable again, but I don't really plan on talking to her again. Thanks again for the advice. In the comments, Jadorki says, having the guy send you the money was some kind of idiotic high school flex. Good on ya, OP. You're a level-headed problem solver, and you're gonna be just fine. Right? What the hell is that? Talk about a lame, unnecessary final FU. Blech. I would not be amicable with this person, but at least OP is out of that and can go on a nice vacation. She thought that he'd have a fit. He shrugged and said, so anyway, did y'all catch that game last night? Interesting. Thanks for the update. Sounds like all's well that ends well. Also sounds like she was more interested in winning in her own mind more than the money, since as you say, she's probably eating your $800 ticket. If she booked through discount agency, who knows if she can change the name, but whatever. Nice happy ending. Good for you. I had a friend go through something similar, and his girl went on the trip and he just took the loss. In fairness, he broke up with her and she thought that he was going to propose. So I think he felt guilty. Oh, Jesus. I'd feel guilty too. Oh my God. She definitely cheated on him. She intentionally had that man send him the money personally just so she could stick the knife in whilst still having plausible deniability, and she could easily accuse him of being paranoid, insecure, or immature again if he raises any fuss. The best thing that OP can do for himself is forget his ex and just have fun on his trip to Belize. Yeah, it's evident that it really wasn't about the timing. She just didn't want OP to see who she was there with, and was willing to make him be out of pocket for that. Now that she knows she doesn't have to be face to face with him, she can let loose. That comment took me out though. Oh my God, anyone else here ever just break up with someone that thought that you were going to propose to them? Because that is harsh. That was like a jab to my liver. But in regards to this one, I didn't really have an opinion on this before. So, I couldn't see why she wanted to do all this and the way that she was going about it. But that makes sense, that she didn't have to see him face to face. Now she's doing some stupid, look at this, I'm with some rich guy that I'd introduced you to a few times. I'm such a mean girl. God, you can't sit with us, can ya? I say let that little immature person go have fun at the Canary Islands, OP. You're better off without. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, guys, that's where I'm going to end today's episode. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, let me know what you thought about it in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.